Yay, recording in progress. Hello, hello, hello. This is G. I'm sorry. I'm using a different device for recording because, yeah, the other one was really shady most of the time. So, what this means is I have patience. I'm using this other software for this. So, we're just going to wing it. And I know it looks a little different. So, just bear with me. The cool thing is I have some screen share options that I want to go over because we're going to talk about Mars. Yeah, Mars. Mars is making some changes coming up at the end of the month. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to see it on the screen. We're going to pull up the chart, and I'll mark it up. But then we're also going to discuss the Mars is out of bounds and like where it's at. It's been doing this whole out of bounds thing since October. So I know we're all ready for it to like chill a little bit because Mars energy can be really wonderful. It can be inspiring. It can be positive and optimistic. It's that get up and go, like, help me out, man. I need help to move forward with this project. I need some steam. It's the physical body, and it's my desire, my passion, maybe not desire, but your passions, what you're passionate about, what you'll fight for. Like that's your Mars energy, right? So when we don't have that, we feel kind of like down in the dumps, we feel kind of like we can't, like Mars is like that self-starter energy. And so when Mars is not prominent in our life, we feel like we're almost dragging energetically. Yeah, because that's Mars. It's a physical body and it is our energy. It's our ability to be very physical and to just approach life in a really physical way. Right. And so normally Mars literally needs physical challenges. It gets bored very easily. It wants to constantly be doing something, and it's the hands-on doing something, but it should include its whole body. Ideally, it should include its whole body. It's not going to be okay with just going like this. It's not going to be okay with just doing this. Mars is like, when Mars is up there on 10, like really, really, really pronounced, it's one thing to watch the football game, but then after that game is over, it's like, you grab the football and you go outside and you're like, come on, let's go do this. Like, that's Mars because it wants that challenge. It wants that challenge. Now, if it doesn't get that action, if it doesn't get that ability to go outside and to play ball or to go lift weights or to go do some like hit the punching bag or to go dig some holes, to be physically challenged in some way, that energy is still going to come out. So it's super vital with our Mars energy, because we all have Mars in our chart. We all have Aries energy somewhere in our chart, and that's Mars rules on Aries, right? So wherever your Aries energy is, we know, oh, this is the area of my life where like, I know I need to do this and I have to channel this energy in a safe way, right? Because otherwise, Mars is like that. I want to be first energy. So you don't want to have your Mars energy on 10 and then get in the car, because Mars will want to be the first in line, doesn't have the patience to be behind somebody. So it could even end up driving reckless at times because it wants to be first, right? And so we have to just kind of pay attention to our Mars energy. And we have to know that if we feel that in ourselves, if we have the awareness and we can see it, right? If we're cognizant of it, we can at least make sure that if we are like that on a regular, then before we even begin our day, the best way for us to begin our day, you need to go work out. You need to go jog. You need to go for a walk. You need to go hit the bags. You need to go do something before you even begin your day. Yeah. Otherwise, if that energy stays inside of you, it's just waiting for the smallest thing to irritate it. And then it'll just go off like a rocket, because that's how Mars works. It is sporadic bursts of energy. But if we're not getting it out, it kind of stays bottled up. So if somebody says the wrong thing or looks at you the wrong way, it could just kind of come out. And if you're really physical, it may lash out. It literally may strike out because it needs to have a place in which to flow, in which to escape to, in which to go to. Because that's just the energy. That's all energies in general. But maybe go into the kitchen, because Mars is really good with a knife. So we usually say Mars is surgery and inflammation and cuts, because it wants to be physically active and doing things. So sometimes it's rushing and it's careless because it's rushing. And so people get cuts, get bruises. People like aren't paying attention to where they're walking and they hit the damn wall. They walk right into the goddamn door. You ever seen somebody do that? Yeah, they're like in such a hurry, or I know someone I'm living with, one of the housemates will, hold on here, let me hit the volume thing. One of the housemates will literally, before they're even out of one room, a door is still open, the water is still running, or like the bathroom. It's like, why is the water running? And this is all the time, because before this person can even leave the location where they're at, the bathroom, their mind and where their Mars energy takes them, it's already out the door and into the next room. Even though their body is physically there, there's another part of them that is kind of like, okay, we need to hurry up and get outside. We need to hurry up and get out of the bathroom. So they're walking out of the bathroom, the water is still running. Now, granted, they tried to turn it off, so it's trickling, but this happens all the time. And this is this person's Mars energy in their home, because this person has Mars in their 6th house, which is your domestic side of life. And you can ask his wife. She's here. And so she's the one who pointed it out to me. And because I'd be like, do we need the water on? Because, in the winter months, sometimes you need the water trickling. So I'm always like, is there a reason the water's running? Right. And it's nope, there's no reason at all. She's automatically like, oh, he was in there again. And he's a bull in a china shop. He just kind of rushes through and goes to wherever he needs to get to. And, and doing all that, I just smashed my lights and blah, 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 blah. So let's look at the chart so that we could see. And then the chart and the degrees show us dates. Just remember, when I talk about degrees equal dates, right? Because astronomers, people who study the planets, NASA, right? People who are astrophysicists, people who study like all that's out there. There's a movement for every planet, and there's a rate of speed for asteroids and planets, right? And for luminaries, right? The sun, the moon. And so wherever they're moving, whatever sign they're in the degrees that they're at, they've plotted those, and they're listed in a book, and it's called an ephemeris. So we literally can say, I can look into the future by going a week ahead of time. I can see Mars will be at this degree and it's on this date. So remember, degrees have dates. So if you have a degree, it equals a particular date and time. And this could be the past, the present, and the future. All right. So now let me grab up this chart here, and we're going to look at Mars out of bounds. Okay. That's be the first one I want to take a peek at here real quick. So I'm not sure how this is looking on your end. Hopefully it's okay. If not, please let me know, because this is new. I just wanted a clear recording for once. And I hate that the picture in the background is blurred out. It looks like I'm in the same room I'm always in, but it looks like, I don't know, it looks really, it's creepy, I think, in a way. I mean, I understand if people have people in the background, if they're at a desk and they got a headphone on, you need that. But the girls, if they were to walk in, you can't see them. And anyhow, I just want you to know I'm in the same location. We're not trying to hide anything. I just don't know how to get that background blur off. I'm doing something wrong, or I'm not doing something. Anyway, let's get the markup on this thing here, on this chart. So there we go. There we are. And this is the Mars out of bounds. And so where's Mars? Anybody know what Mars looks like? This says Mars out of bounds. Oh, gotcha. It's out of bounds, right? This is the right chart. I thought it was the wrong chart. It's correct. There it is. 28 degrees and 18 minutes. Mars in Gemini at 28 degrees and 18 minutes. I'm sorry. I know that's a lot of back and forth, but that's normally how you read it. Like you could just say Mars at 28. Okay. Mars at 28 in Gemini. You could say that, right? Mars in Gemini at 28 degrees and 18 minutes. Okay. That's normally like how it rolls off the tongue. And when people hear it, they're like, oh, okay. Now the date of this right there, the date is written up there. This chart's being weird right now. So March 21st, 2023. Okay. So this chart is drawn up at this time because Mars at this degree at 2818 on this day, this is where Mars is at the highest point of its out of bounds. All right. So just bear with me. We're going to write those in. Mars. We're just going to do the OOB for out of bounds. And there's my fancy B, and it made a bubble, a text bubble, but we don't want that. That's Mars out of bounds, OOB. Okay. And 28 degrees in Gemini, basically, right? And so what that means is because it's at the out of bounds peak, it's at the peak. I didn't put the information on here, but it's at its peak at 25 degrees. And it's 25 degrees and 36 technically. Okay, which is pretty high. When you're looking for something to be out of bounds, anything that goes above 2375 is 2375 when it hits that point. And when any planet hits that point, we're like, oh my God, that's out of bounds. And so I don't want to go any deeper into that because it gets really confusing. It's a whole different chart altogether. It's called the declination chart. And so don't, for those of you who are just trying to learn your own stuff, don't worry about that. Just trust me on what I'm saying. And at any time, if you want that information, if you want to know more, just let me know. And I will be more than happy to point you in that direction of how you can understand and see it in print, what I'm talking about. You follow? I just don't want to include it because it gets so confusing so fast. And honestly, for myself, it took years before I paid attention to that. And that would be called declinations. That's how we know when a planet is working out of bounds. So when a planet goes out of bounds, it's really extreme. And it's been working its extreme out of bounds in Gemini communications, right? How many of you have been watching the news on social media? How many of you get your news from social media, right? Here's the thing. Anybody who's on television, right? Remember old school TV with the antennas and shit. It used to be that was the only way, that and radio. Well, now it's social media. So now, like for me on YouTube, because I don't watch TV, I don't own a TV. The folks in my homies, my roommates have a house or have a house. My homies have a television, but they don't have like conventional TV. Like they'll just watch like I think PBS or something. And anyway, they're pretty selective in that way. So we don't watch. There's never regular television going on. But what I've found out is on YouTube, everybody has a freaking YouTube channel. So you've got like CBS, NBC, ABC, everybody's got a YouTube channel. So you'll get the clicks there, right? So news on social media, social platforms, that's Gemini energy. And it being really insane, like doing anything to get a freaking click, right? And just being really extreme, reporting on super extreme stuff, extreme things all over the world, right? And Mars is weapons. And Gemini's neighborhood, where you live, literally the next door neighbor, your siblings, schools, teachers, within your local community. It's Gemini, it's local. I can walk there or I can have a short trip in my car there. That's Gemini energy. So at the market, at the grocery stores, at the schools, weapons, some crazy mother effer walking in with a gun. How many of those stories have we heard just in 2023? Just in 2023, right? And Mars been out of bounds since October of 2022, at the end of October of 2022, out of bounds. So if it seemed like there was an increase in these events, there's a reason. There's a reason, okay? Here's the good news. Mars right now on March 21st is at its peak of it being out of bounds. It is still going to be out of bounds, but it's declining. It's decreasing. It's going down in its numbers. And that is really good news. That's really good news. What we can also see here is that Mars is at 28 degrees in Gemini. So we know it's going to get to 29. And then after 29, 59, it'll be at 0 degrees in the sign of Cancer. So Mars at the end of March is changing signs. Right. So what we're going to do is I'm going to hopefully share this screen to a different thing. So let me see if I can do that. We'll go to a new screen here. And we're going to look at Mars in the sign of Cancer at 0 degrees. Can you see it? Here it is. Maybe we're not here. I hope we are. Mars in Cancer. Yeah, it says we are. Okay, so now we're going to mark this one up. And yeah. All right, so just so that you can see what I'm looking at, here's Mars. And I know it's moved on the chart before. Mars was all the way over here. So it's like, wait a minute, why did it move? Don't worry about that. There's a reason, but I don't want this to be more confusing. I want to just focus on the Mars. And it's perfectly natural that it looks different, okay? It's just because it's for the chart for where I am. And this chart takes into consideration at this time of day where the ascendant is for where I live, okay? And so that changes that. And when that changes that, that means the signs move. Anyway, so now we got Mars in Cancer at 0 degrees, and that's all we're paying attention to right now. Okay. So this chart itself is just a chart of the moment. It's just to show you where the planets are up in the sky. If you've got your own chart at home, you're still looking for Cancer energy. And where's Cancer energy at 0 degrees? What house number is it in? So as an example on this chart, I would say, let's just pretend that this is my birth chart. This is just pretending. And I could say, okay, in this chart, Mars is in Cancer at 0 degrees, right? Which, unless you have something at 0 degrees in Cancer, you probably won't even see 0 degrees Cancer shown on your chart. You won't see anything until there's something in Cancer. An example is there's nothing at 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, but there's something at 8. So they're showing it because it's at 8. And it's just understood by the viewer that there are 7 previous degrees, but there's nothing there. You see that? There's nothing there because there's only so much space on the chart. But this chart shows Mars at 0 degrees in Cancer in the 7th house. And that's significant one-on-one relationship. So if this was my chart, I would know that having Mars in my 7th house, Mars is about taking actions. And the 7th house is typically your partnerships, right? I have Gemini on my descendant. Remember, this is my pretend chart. Gemini is people who like to talk and communicate, but it can be the energy of a lot of duality, but it's people who like to communicate and exchange ideas with me and partnerships. So I'm likely going to have partners in my life who like to talk and communicate, who might even be kind of funny and sing-songy and have a way with words. They can be writers, they can write scripts, they can be very good with words, they can even be silver-tongued devils at times, especially if they're in your 7th house. You have to be very careful of these people normally. Sometimes they present as clowns. I've heard lots of clients tell me, and that's only because Gemini energy likes to have a little bit of fun, but they like to have an intellectual banter. They like to people that they can talk to where they can kind of intellectually spar even. That's Gemini energy, right? With Mars, it's definitely sparring. It may even turn into fighting. So if you had Gemini in your 7th house for the last 6 months, Mars being there meant sparring, right? Meaning if you had a partner or somebody you were dating, it might have been like, oh my God, like we're getting into fights all the time because Mars is combative. By nature, Mars was born for war. Mars is always looking for a war. That, you know how Mars gets bored, how I described that? Mars is always looking around, and it's kind of like that caged animal where it's ready to fight. It was born to fight. So it's always kind of looking. So it may even instigate and not even be aware that it's instigating, that it's starting a battle because it's bored. That's Mars energy. So it takes a while for it to grow up. Once it matures, then it realizes, oh my God, I did that. I remember times when I would just be bored and I just felt like just start shit, just to start shit, you know? And so that can happen. So Mars being in the sign of Cancer, this is, what day is this? Let's look at the date. I didn't even point that out. I apologize. Here it is. It's March 25th. March 25th, Mars, last part of March, going into the sign of Cancer. And the good news is it's declining. It's going down in its numbers. It's when we talk about its declination and where it's at, here it's at 2534. Mars out of bounds at this point. It's still out of bounds. It is still out of bounds. It takes a while for it to go backwards. Let me get rid of that. I'm sorry. It does this weird thing, and then I have to confirm that I don't want it to do what it wants to do. I have to then say, no, please don't fill the oval and please just do what I did. And so Mars out of bounds. It is out. Oh, it was good on the B. So it's out of bounds now at 25. Can I draw a 5? Thank you. Thank you. At 2534. You see that? So what was it at before? It was at 2536. Right. And that was on the 21st of March. So from the 21st of March, which by the way is the new moon, the Aries new moon, for those of you who are following along, that was the Aries new moon. Mars was at the peak of its out of bounds, and Mars ruled that new moon. Yeah, Mars is doing a lot of ruling these last couple of the last week of of March, and then also in April because Mars rules the April eclipse, right? Because it's in Aries, right? So a lot of initiations, a lot of things starting for sure. Mars takes action. Mars being in Cancer energy, it's family, it's emotions, it's the public. Cancer energy is the public. People that you resonate with deeply, it's when you meet with the public. So the emotions of the public are going to be a little frazzled. The waters are going to start to boil. And it started today. I'm recording this on March 10th. There was news of SVB, the bank, possibly a run on the bank. And that had to do with people who were investing. That bank was investing in tech. And so it was like, it made sense when you listen to the money people, the economists talk about it. It makes sense. It's got nothing to do with a run on the regular, like, you know, the system banks, like the world banks. But again, we all don't really know this, right? We hear what people say, but we don't know. So people were pulling money out of the SVB bank. They were calling it a run on that bank. And then there was Silvergate, which had to do with crypto, right? Had to do with some crypto crap. So just some unsettling news about banking. So I just want you guys to remember, okay? Let me change my color. I want everybody to remember the reality of what we're going through okay, Zoom is taking over. Hold on a second here. Okay. I want everyone to remember the reality that we've been waiting to hear something in terms of banking because Uranus in Taurus, it's over here, so forgive me because we're kind of cluttered. Uranus is about digital. It is about technology. It is about crypto because it's in Taurus. So it's money and it's banking. Okay. And so you see how Venus is getting close here. On the 25th, Venus is 10 degrees in Taurus next to Uranus. Expect to hear something surprising, possibly shocking, something definitely new when we have Venus and Uranus conjunct. And it will only take a day after this or 2 days because Venus is a quick enough mover where once she moves, she's moving like 2 degrees within 24 hours, almost at that speed. So what that says to me is to just pay attention and know that this makes sense for this time. We know that there's going to be some sort of shocking news and information based on banking or money or values and our finances. And it could be things with the earth. So food and our creature comforts. We know about, inflation and all that crap. And the Fed, if you're in the US, and interest rates being raised. We know all this. This is what's been on the table. But remember, Uranus energy it screams new and exciting. That's Uranus. It's always about, you didn't hear about this one though, right? It's values. Venus is my values. So Venus is a big thing here, money and banking. All right. And Mars has the emotions. It's stirring the pot, so to speak. It's bubbling it. It can even make it boil. Mars is only going to be in the sign of Cancer for all of April. I know that's a long time. And then a few weeks or a couple of weeks into May. Okay. Actually, it might take 2 months. It might take all of April and all of May. No, half of May, because there will be 10 degrees left for it to transit through May. So just be aware of that. Now, remember, the Mars energy in Cancer is home and family and feelings and nurturing. It's empathy. And so for those of you who have very sensitive bodies who are Cancers, Mars is your physical body. Cancer is highly empathic. So you may feel things in your body because you have highly empathic Cancer energy touching in with Mars that you may not have felt those sensitivities before. You may be more sensitive during this time. So I know a lot of people who are strong empaths, and normally they got that Cancer energy where they feel better to be in long sleeves. And so, because it gives them a covering, right? If you think of the crab, the shell on the back, the covering to protect how sensitive it is, how soft it is, right? This would be normal at this time. Okay. And also Mars can ruffle the feathers in the home. It can create turbulent waters within the home and within family members. Keep all this in mind. Okay. It's going to be, because by nature, let me see if I can change a color again here. I'm sorry. I'm dealing with this Zoom being in the way. Here we go. By nature, when you see where, hold on, I lost it. Here we are. I'm sorry. I'm all over the place. I'm all over the damn place. By nature, just so that you understand, this is cardinal. I know I talked about this already in the videos I'm putting up for the monthlies. If you haven't seen yours yet, it's done. It's just being down. It's being edited. So you just gotta like give me some time. Allastrology is a one-man show. I used to have a partner way back when it began. It's just me. I do the recording. I do everything. I do all the editing. Everything is done by me. And then I answer questions. I look at people's charts for free. I do everything. So just please have patience. I'm trying to get stuff done ahead of time so that I can be available more. But just know that Cancer energy squares Aries energy, and it squares Libra. It squares cardinal energy. You see that? It's a square. Okay. It's stress and tension. That's what it means when I call it a square. And so Mars being at 0 degrees, you see how the sun is at 4 here on this date, March 25th. So 3 days before, right? The sun would have been squaring Mars. It's not squaring it anymore by March 25th. So yeah, March 21st, it's a big deal. There's somebody in charge who's stepping up and has something to say. It's Mars squaring. Somebody in charge is saying, hey, you need to do this or you can't do that. Digital stuff, online, social media, social platforms are going to be kind of in the spotlight, but so is our significant one-on-one relationships. And these are business partnerships, right? This can also be lawyer energy because it's about fair. It's the scales of justice on balance here. Yep. So Mars is squaring and angling all that. Keep something in mind whenever you see Mars and the sun squaring. Remember, sun is the ruler. Sun is the head honcho. Sun is the person in charge. Mars is just the soldier. Mars has to take orders from the sun. Okay. So typically Aryan energy can be like, you know, whether it's soldiers or the police, somebody who can carry a weapon. And so the sun being there, the sun tells me somebody in charge might be previewing and looking over anybody who can carry a weapon, right? Because the sun is here and it's angling those who were, carrying weapons. So it makes me think about like maybe some reform for our police departments, right? Or people who can carry weapons, or at least somebody in charge being present and having something to say about those things, and it likely causing stress and tension. Okay. Now, Mars is opposing Capricorn energy naturally, right? Because it's in Cancer. So you see what you see here. I'm going to, draw that over there. This creates like that cardinal cross that you guys have heard me talk about. And then then we call it a great square, same as a cardinal cross. I'll just connect the dots. I know it's not going to look really pretty. It's a very wobbly looking square. It doesn't even look like a square. I'm trying to fix it for you so you can see how it creates a square. You see, cardinal cross, cardinal square. I just get my lines all straightened out a little bit better, and you see how it looks, right? And that's, we all have cardinal energy in our chart. So what you're doing is looking for the cardinal energies, meaning you're looking for Cancer. Let me go to a different color for you guys, and I'll highlight it real quick. You're looking for your Cancer energy in your chart. You're looking for your Libra energy. You're looking for your Capricorn energy, and you're looking for your Aries energy. Okay. And then you want to see what house numbers they're in. Normally, it's not abnormal. Like normally you can have multiple signs in one house. So I know it's complicated because as human beings, we're very complex. And this is why we're so freaking complex. Like you can see it on paper and it's like, holy moly. So yeah, I'll give you an example. In this chart, we'll say we're looking at the 8 degrees. We're just going to pick this house cusp line. So a house cusp line would be the 8th house because it goes that way. I probably just lost everybody when I did that because I think I just confused myself when I did that. So we're just going to stick to the 0 degrees. We see this person has Cancer energy in their 7th, and we see that they have Cancer or Capricorn over here in their 1st. So that's house number 1 and 7 are part of this great cross. And then it's also house number 11 and house number 5, because we're looking for Aries energy. So you see that? So we'll do it like this. I'll reinforce this cross by drawing the black line like that. And I'll reinforce it again by drawing the black line like that for you so that you can see it. You see it now? You see it? Houses number 1 and 7, 5 and 11. House number 1 is my body, where I'm at, where I'm located. Okay. My physical body, my appearance. House number 5, my children, literally the things that I've created. It is also the people I'm romantic with, the people I like to have fun with. So it could be sports, anybody you like to go and have a good time with, right? Children, fun, joy, creativity. 7th house, significant one-on-one relationships. This can be personal or private. So yes, your business partnerships. And then your 11th house, your friends, Now, for you, it's going to be in different houses. Remember at the beginning, this was my chart. I was using this as an imaginary chart for me because it's truly not my chart. My chart looks nothing like this. But this is an imaginary chart for me. So in my life, that would tell me that these houses, house number 1, 5, 7, and 11, are going to be under some stress and tension. And it doesn't have to be horribly intense for all of April. It will only be when that particular Mars is traveling through and angling by degrees, squaring, matching degrees of something I have in number 5. Angling something that I have in my 11th house at the matching degrees in my 11th house. You see, so there will be times where nothing will be there. And it'll feel like, okay, I have a day where it's kind of good. Tomorrow, everything's kind of good. And then 3 or 4 days go by and all of a sudden it's like, it's on again. All of a sudden there's a disagreement or there's some stress and tension. And that's because you likely have something that is angling it exactly and matching the degree. All right. So I'm going to end this video. If you don't know and you want to know, comment below. All right. That's the only way I can help you out to understand. And my recommendation, if you don't have your chart, get it. If you need it, comment to me. I will help you out with that. Okay. That is my passion. That is what I do. That is, that is really important to me in this channel. That's one of the main purposes of this channel is to get the knowledge of who you are into your hands. That is the age of Aquarius. When your chart, when your life, when who you are at your core, who you once were, where you came from, your past, and where you're headed is put into your hands for you. The knowledge in your hands, the age of Aquarius. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. If you made it this far, just know I appreciate your time. Let me know how I did. Bye-bye. Below the video, I'll have all the degrees for those of you who like to pay attention to the degrees in your chart. Again, if you don't know and you want to know, just comment below.